For years, the world watched him on red carpets, award stages, and glamorous charity events, standing right next to his wife, the beautiful and unshakably poised Nell. Together, they looked like a picture-perfect couple pulled straight out of a magazine spread, all polished smiles and subtle hand-holding. But what nobody knew was that behind those flawless poses and gentle glances, their marriage was hanging by threads so thin they were practically invisible. And then, one day, the thread snapped. When Nell, the same woman who defended Chris for decades, finally filed for divorce, it felt like a bomb went off in the middle of their polished fairy tale. But here's the twist. The real shock came after the filing, when Chris, at 55 years old, found himself doing something no one ever imagined he would do. He started begging, pleading, calling, showing up to places he swore he'd never step foot inside again. And not for money, not for reputation, not for a second chance with the public, but for her. The woman he shattered. The woman he thought would never leave. The woman he believed he could always somehow win back. This is the story of how one of the most confident men on television became a broken figure standing outside Nell's door with tears in his eyes, haunted by the choices that pushed her away, and terrified of a future without her in it. For years, people looked at Chris and Nell like they were untouchable, a power couple with the kind of chemistry you couldn't fake, no matter how hard you tried. They met long before fame got its hands on them, back when Chris was still a struggling radio host, and Nell worked 2 jobs while studying at night. They were young, broke, in love, and determined to build a life that looked nothing like the chaotic homes they grew up in. Friends still remember seeing them at late-night diners, sharing French fries because they couldn't afford 2 meals. They'd talk for hours about their dreams. Chris swore he would make it big someday. Nell believed in him more fiercely than he believed in himself. And it was her encouragement, her constant pushing, her unwavering faith that helped him chase opportunities that felt far beyond his reach. When his career finally took off, he made sure everyone knew Nell was the woman behind his success. He'd thank her in interviews, hold her hand tightly on stage, and tell reporters that he would be nothing without her. And honestly, for a long time, it seemed like he meant every word. But success changes people, fame reshapes them, and once Chris became the charming star that everyone wanted a piece of, the cracks began forming. It started with late nights at work that turned into late nights out, phone calls he didn't want to explain, trips he insisted were strictly business, but somehow never lined up with the calendar. Nell noticed early on. She always did, but she kept telling herself that marriage required patience, understanding, and sacrifice. She watched her parents' relationship fall apart because neither of them was willing to fight for it. She wasn't going to repeat that. So she fought. Even when things felt wrong. Even when she felt alone in her own home. Even when whispers reached her about Chris getting a little too close to certain people at industry events. She still fought, but something in Chris shifted. As his fame grew, so did his ego. The man who once couldn't fall asleep without Nell's hand in his slowly became the man who could go days barely speaking to her. And every time she tried to reach him, every time she tried to talk about the distance between them, he brushed it off with jokes, excuses, empty promises. And Nell, she swallowed her hurt because she believed marriage meant endurance. But nobody can endure forever. The beginning of the end started quietly, not with a fight, not with some explosive confrontation, but with a tiny, painful moment Nell never talked about publicly. One night, she found Chris sitting in his office, smiling at his phone in a way she hadn't seen him smile at her in years. It wasn't the smile itself, it was the softness behind it, the tenderness, the warmth that used to be hers. When he saw her standing there, the smile vanished so fast it almost looked like he snapped a mask back into place. He mumbled something about work, shoved the phone face down, and acted annoyed that she'd walked in without knocking. It wasn't the lie that broke her heart. It was realizing he didn't even feel guilty anymore. From there, things spiraled. The late nights got later, the arguments got sharper. Chris grew colder, more distant, more irritated by the woman who had stood by him through everything. And then the rumors started. Louder, messier, harder to ignore. Whispers of secret outings, unexpected travel companions, and eventually, a child. The kind of rumor that doesn't just sting, it scars. For years, Nell refused to believe any of it. She told herself the world just liked tearing down happy couples. But then, one day, she got the proof she never wanted to see. Proof that Chris had been living a double life. Proof that shattered every memory she thought was safe. That was the day something inside Nell finally broke. She didn't scream, she didn't throw things, she didn't even cry at first. She just went quiet. And when Nell went quiet, Chris should have known something was coming. Because silence is louder than any argument. The divorce filing came without warning. No announcement, no discussion, no attempt at reconciliation. The woman who forgave everything for decades simply walked away. And for the first time in their entire marriage, Chris was the one left standing alone in shock. And here's where the story shifts, where everything turns upside down. Because the moment Nell left, Chris finally woke up. Suddenly, the man who had always taken her presence for granted found himself calling constantly, begging to talk, leaving messages at all hours of the night. Friends say they've never seen him like this, pacing around rooms, unable to sleep, unable to focus, unable to pretend everything was okay. He started showing up to places Nell frequented, hoping to accidentally run into her. He sent flowers, long handwritten letters, apologies that sounded more desperate the longer the days stretched without a response. People close to him say he's been breaking down behind closed doors, crying more than anyone has ever seen him cry. A 55-year-old man, once proud and unshakable, now on the floor, whispering to himself that he messed up the only good thing he ever had. But Nell wasn't moved. Not at first. Because when someone pushes you to the point of numbness, their tears don't touch you the way they used to. Chris tried everything, calling her family, her friends, even her attorney, trying to convince them he needed one more chance. But Nell didn't budge. She didn't yell, didn't fight, didn't retaliate. She simply cut him off with the same quiet strength she survived the marriage with. And that silence is what tore him apart. What nobody expected was that Chris would spiral this hard. People around him say he sits alone in his massive house, the same house that used to glow with laughter and warmth, now dark and empty. He walks by places where pictures used to hang, remembers moments he took for granted, remembers conversations he should have listened to. He told a close friend, "I spent years thinking she would never leave. Now I can't believe she's gone." The regret is eating him alive. The heartbreak is suffocating him. Because deep down, he knows the truth. Nell didn't break their marriage. He did. And now he's living with the consequences. The emotional impact on Nell has been equally complex. Not explosive, not dramatic, but quiet and heavy. The kind of pain that doesn't show up in tabloid photos, but lingers in the way she talks, the way she walks, the way she exists beside the pieces of the life she left behind. She is grieving a marriage she tried to save for years. She is grieving the version of Chris she fell in love with, the man who once held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. She is grieving the family they could have been, the dreams they once whispered to each other in dimly lit diners. But she is also healing. Slowly, gently, day by day. People who've seen her recently say she looks lighter, not happy yet, but freer, like she finally put down a weight she'd been carrying for half her life. Chris, on the other hand, is drowning in regret. He has been telling friends he wishes he could go back, that he'd change everything if he had one more chance. He keeps replaying their last arguments, wishing he'd listened, wishing he hadn't brushed off her pain, wishing he had fought for her before she walked away. But here's the bitter truth he's finally realizing. You can't beg for what you destroyed. You can't rebuild something you never bothered to protect. And now he understands, painfully, brutally, that Nell was never trying to control him. She was trying to save them. But he didn't see it until it was too late. As for the future, nobody knows what will happen next. Maybe time will soften Nell's heart. Maybe Chris will learn how to be a man who deserves forgiveness. Or maybe this is the end, the real end, of a love story that started with fries shared in a cheap diner and ended with silence echoing through a mansion. What we do know is this: regret is a heavy companion. Loneliness is a cruel teacher. And heartbreak doesn't care how famous you are. Chris may spend the rest of his life trying to make peace with the consequences of his own choices. And Nell, she may finally discover who she is without carrying someone else's weight. Their story is a reminder, a painful one, that love can survive anything except neglect, and that the person you think will never leave might walk away the moment they finally choose themselves. If you've ever loved deeply, hurt quietly, or stayed longer than your heart could handle, then you already understand exactly what Nell is living through. And if you've ever taken someone for granted, convinced they'd always be there no matter how carelessly you treated them, then Chris's story should shake you to your core. Because nothing, not beauty, not money, not history, not fame, can protect you from the consequences of your own actions. And right now, Chris is learning that truth the hardest way possible. By losing the woman who once saw the world in him, and realizing far too late that he should have seen the world in her too.